Welcome to the Talks with Pops podcast. I am one of your hosts, Walter, affectionately known as Pops.
And I am your other host, Wanye, also known as Son.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle your seatbelt. We have an amazing podcast today. My guest is the first lady of the Talks with Pops podcast. She is our first female guest, an amazing young woman that you're going to want to listen to. She brings a unique healing perspective to our podcast. She has her own brand, right? Cilva Lining, that she's going to talk all about. But listen, like I said, enjoy this. Listen to what she has to say because she is an amazing young woman. And the biggest compliment I could pay her is that I completely respect her. And I love talking to her. She always brings a fresh insight to every conversation we have. So without ado, let me introduce Cilva of Cilva Lining.
Hey, everybody, that's my Talks with Pop. Yeah, my name is Cilva. The name of my brand is Silver Lining. And the main goal of the brand is Let's Heal.
Okay. Outstanding. And I'm going to give it away. Yes, she is my niece. But that makes her no less amazing. Matter of fact, it makes her more amazing just because she's related to us, right?
Sure.
Period.
Yeah, most definitely.
But let's get into it. What was the inspiration behind Silver Lining? Let's talk about that.
Okay, so the inspiration behind Silver Lining came from when I was in college, honestly. I didn't come up with the name until 2021. But when I was in college, I just always found myself in this mindset of completely being happy. And with not being completely being happy, even my professors was like, sometimes we don't know if we're on pins and needles with you. We don't know if you happy today, mad. So it started from there and I started to wonder, like, why am I like this? What is causing me to be like this? And then when I graduated from college in 2016, I found myself really depressed. Like I was very, very depressed. And from being depressed, I was like, something got to give. I was talking to my godmother and she told me she was going to therapy. And I was like, I might need to go see a therapist. Or I was like, it was a counselor. I was like, I need to go see a counselor to figure out what is going on. And that's where the healing journey of me actually started in 2016. Well, it was 2017 when I started seeing my counselor. And then by 2021, I been going to counseling from 2017 to 2021. I'm still going to counseling. I'm going to therapy now, by the way. But it just got to a point where I just started to notice that it wasn't just me who was feeling the way that I was feeling, but also my peers, people that were in my age range, a part of my generation that was also feeling the same way that I was feeling. So I was like, why don't I just be an open book for people to feel and know that it is okay to go through these things and go to therapy and talk to a counselor and seek healing because it feels so good once you're healed.
I'm gonna tell you that's amazing. I'm gonna tell you why it's amazing because your generation really doesn't look at counseling like that. In my opinion, and through my experiences, even my age group, right? We don't like talking to other people. We come up under the realization or the belief that, hey, everything stays in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let our business out. Why am I talking to a stranger?
Yeah.
So I commend you for even knowing that you needed to go talk to somebody and doing that because a lot of people don't, especially a lot of young people. So I definitely commend you for that. Wanye, how do you feel about you guys are in the same age range? How do you feel about counseling?
I would say it's good for anybody who needs it, honestly. I mean, of course, it's not for everybody, so I understand that. Of course, the question you said, like talking to a stranger and expressing that stuff to somebody they don't know, of course, not everyone is well with that. So, I mean, I definitely understand for the people who don't feel they don't need it, but there's a lot of people who, for sure, I feel like they definitely need it if they, open to it, of course. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's definitely needed in some people's lives.
Okay. I, for one, am a big advocate of counseling for a lot of different reasons. I went through life. I had to unlearn a lot of things through my travels in life. So counseling definitely assisted me with that. And it made all my relationships better. It made my relationships with my son better. I'm able to have conversations with him that I probably would have never been able to have. It allowed me to have conversations with my daughters that I probably would have never been able to have. it just changed me in a lot of different ways. But the one thing that I will say about counseling is the way people around you react to you as you start to heal.
Man, what? That is that. Yeah.
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 I definitely get that.
Because honestly, when you start to heal, like, you become like a very radiant light. Like, your light is very bright and you don't have to say much and people can feel it.
I just feel like when you're in a dark place, everyone's used to seeing you like that. You know what I'm saying? Having an attitude, seeing you down. So when everybody starts seeing you uplifted, you know what I'm saying? Always smiling, always, you know what I'm saying? People are going to notice that. It's like a light shined on you, like, whoa, what's going on with, you know what I'm saying? What's going on? Like, why are you so happy? You know what I'm saying? You just, I'm healed. You know what I'm saying? I'm healing at
Yeah.
the time. You know what I'm saying? So people are always going to notice that.
I'll say this about counseling, and I'm gonna clear up any misconceptions some people may have. And this is some people's biggest thing about it. It's not a silver bullet. You don't go to 2 counseling sessions and then you're healed. Counseling is a road. It's a journey. It's a journey, and you have to do the work. You have to definitely take self-inventory deep inside of yourself in places where you've never been, in places where you never wanted to go. And it's very uncomfortable. Counseling is very uncomfortable because it shows you real ugly things about yourself. I'm gonna speak from my experiences, right? Everybody's experience might not be like this, but it shows you the ugly side of you, and you have to accept it and want to change it. And you got to be honest with yourself. A lot of people aren't honest with themselves, and I believe that's why a lot of problems in relationships, a lot of problems in all kind of relationships, men, women relationships, friend relationships, family relationships, because we're not honest with ourselves. And counseling counsel made me be honest with myself and take a hard look at myself. And you got to stop blaming everybody else around you, because in a lot of cases for me, I was the problem. And I had to change. Not everybody around me had to change. So I will say that counseling is a journey, and you have to be honest in that journey in order for it to work. Would you agree with that, Cilva?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know that my purpose of going to counseling or even therapy may not have been what you went there for, but on the road of me going, I've learned, like, okay, I've learned that I have been taking past situations and reflecting it onto people who just met me. People that don't really know me from a can of paint, that I'm just getting to know in workspaces or even just like going to the dance studio to dance. Like, I'm automatically being extra sensitive to people and the things that they say. And then it ain't got nothing to do with them. Like, it has everything to do with my past. So, and I guess that goes back to talking about triggers and stuff like that and learning these things.
Triggers are very, very, very important. Very important, because if you don't know what your triggers are, then you'll never be able to change your behaviors. You'll never be able to understand why things make you feel a certain way. And listen, me and you come from a place, we're both from Miami.
Yep.
We grew up there. So we come from a place we're not inherently friendly people, because friendly where we come from is considered soft.
Yeah.
Right? You're considered a target, right? In Miami, you're one of 2 things. Either you're the predator or you're the prey. And that's my experience where I come from.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not speaking on anybody else's experience, but
because
so we already come from an environment that breeds that.
No, I was just gonna say, like, being the girl from Miami, like, being friendly as a girl, you automatically get labeled, especially when you're around guys and stuff like that. Like, you automatically get labeled. Then that comes with the territory of other girls not liking you and stuff like that. So yeah, Miami's just a real rough, a rough place to try to grow up in. But hey, I'm pretty sure it's like that in other places as well. But
go ahead, son.
So if you getting ready to start up your channel with your brand and everything, what would you want people to get from your channel?
You made a statement that said that you don't think that counseling is for everybody. And honestly, I may have a very unpopular opinion, but I think everybody needs counseling or therapy. And that is what I want people to get from my channel and my brand. At the end of the day, like we were talking about triggers and how I was saying that I'm meeting new people and I'm reflecting issues that I'm not even thinking about onto people that I'm just now meeting. And how many people
Mm-hmm.
you have greeted in your entire life that you just met them and you like, what's wrong with you? Like, I just want people to get the idea of it's okay to heal. Like, healing is good. Going to counseling is good. Going to therapy is good. Like, it's not as bad as we think it is. And quite frankly, talking to a stranger, I would rather talk to a stranger than talk to somebody that I know any day for the simple fact of you don't know me. How can you judge me? So that's what I would like
Yeah.
for people to grab from my channel and my brand.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you because I'm also of the mindset, and maybe it's because we are in counseling. I'm currently in counseling as well. I believe everyone needs some form of counseling, and that doesn't mean I believe we've associated in our community counseling with you're crazy or you're weak minded. You can't handle life, so you need to go talk to somebody else. It's not even about that. And I agree with you also that it's sometimes harder to talk to people that you know, family members, friends. It's harder to talk to them than it is to a stranger because your family doesn't. They see you in a way, and they want to always see you in that way. They always want to see you in that way, so they try to force you to stay in this box. But in life, you have to evolve. If you don't evolve, you die. You have to evolve. You have to recreate yourself all the time because the world changes around you, and you can't stay in this place that everybody wants you to stay in. And you're also not a prisoner to your mistakes,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of times, family
Yeah.
want you to stay a prisoner to a mistake you made, or they'll never let you forget it. But that's where counseling helps you understand that it's not about how they feel; it's about how you feel, and it's about you forgiving yourself. Nothing gets solved exterior of you; it needs to be interior of you. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah.
so let me ask you this, Silva. So, how is your relationship with your parents either affected or assisted in this journey towards healing?
That question is a very good question. And I say that it's a very good question because remember, I told you that part of my brand was started based off of the relationship that I've had with my parents. My mom and I, we are very two different people. Like, we're just two different people. And she also, like, doesn't really have that much of a relationship with her own mom. So I know she wants a relationship with me as well because of what she didn't have. But when you don't know how to do certain things, it just kind of makes it hard. So I really started going to my therapy sessions and counseling sessions for better relationship with me and my mom. And in the process of me going, I got engaged. And when I got engaged, I found out my parents were going through a divorce. So that made it even harder for me to even be happy with being engaged because now I'm like, okay, here I am trying to be happy. And my example of what a relationship should be like is in the process of divorcing, getting the divorce. And now I'm just stuck where it's okay with their divorce. My uncle is divorced. Who do I go to for relationship advice? So I was
Right.
just like, well, now I need to start going to counseling and therapy to talk about my relationship because every relationship is not perfect. Relationship is not going to be peaches and rainbows and walking down the park all the time. So that was that. Then I had a conversation with my dad in the process of them getting a divorce. And with them getting their divorce and talking to my dad, like I kind of really just went on an outburst on him, like a complete outburst. And I was just like, oh, Dad, you supposed to be this example of what a man is supposed to be like in my life. And here you are, you just letting your relationship go with my mom. And I just kind of like went on a whole spiel on my dad. And I was like, and Dad, you not, I was like, I don't even feel like you forgave yourself for the things that you've done in the past and stuff like that. So now when me and my dad talk, is, baby girl, it's like what you told me. I was his therapist talking to him about his own situation with his divorce. And he told me, he was like, he started seeking healing within himself. He started going back to church. He started praying. And he was like, he officially forgave himself. And the minute that he told me that he did that, I was like, yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
did my thing. But it,
Yeah.
it that definitely, to answer the question, that's what really encouraged the whole therapy for me with my parents. But as far as the relationship goes, I know how to be around my mom to where I don't argue with her or get into any kind of back and forths with her. Me and my dad have the best relationship that I've never had with him ever, but it's like outstanding now.
Yeah.
And son, I'm gonna let you jump in there, son. Let me just say this real quick, because what you said is very powerful, and it relates to my story as well. I'm also a product of divorce. Obviously, everyone here knows that, and people that listen to the podcast kind of know some of my story, how Wanye got here, this, that, and the third. So I'm gonna say this because I had a conversation with one of my daughters not too long ago, and one thing she told me was she learned some bad behavior from me. And I told her she was absolutely 1000% right. But that's why I had to get help. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier about where we grew up and how we learned different things. I didn't know what I was doing as a parent. And I'm sure your mother has her own trauma, just like we all parents do.
Mm-hmm.
But understand there's not a book or a set of rules that you can go by in order to parent. Like parent is OJT. You're gonna make the best call available with the information that you have. So a lot of us are just figuring it out. We're in survival mode. So we're trying to survive and then we're trying to raise kids while we're surviving. And a lot of times kids get caught up in that. So I completely understand because I've passed traumas on to my children. I have, and Wanye could probably speak to this as well. For a long time, the only emotion that I knew how to display was anger and rage because I had suppressed so much. So I 100%, I empathize and sympathize with your mom and your dad and everything that they go through because it's hard out here to raise kids. Not only do we have to be mindful of their feelings, we have to try to manage our own in the midst of all this. And a lot of us don't possess those skills, those tools, because nobody ever taught us. So I'm glad that you looked for therapy and that you were able to kind of find some light and it also turned out to be that light to your parents. But that's a hard journey. It's a hard journey because roles reverse in a certain extent, right? Like your dad is supposed to be the one passing on wisdom to you, but in turn you had to pass on wisdom to him, and that happens, right? I learn stuff from my son all the time, from my daughters all the time, and like I said, therapy forces you to look at yourself in the mirror, and so do your children.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter has said things to me. My son has said things to me that I've had to that are 100% true. And I have to look at those things head on and be like, hey, you know what? You were right. You're right. I didn't handle that well. And that's hard as a parent. Wanye?
No, I got, I don't have no kids, but I can only imagine how that would feel to have my children really explain to me that I'm the reason why, what I'm saying, they act a certain way or they feel this way. So I personally, I wouldn't, like you said, I wouldn't know the right way to go about it, the right or the wrong way to go about it. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a hard thing to deal with, sure.
I know it's hard. Again, I don't have kids either, but for example, like part of the question that you asked me, here's another part of my answer is me going to therapy and understanding the relationship dynamic between me and my mom. There's a lot of things I really want to say to her, but I just know that she would shut me out if I was to say it. So I was inspired to write my own book. And the book that I wrote, I haven't even published it yet. I was just marketing it. And in the process of me marketing to get ready to publish it, I was told that if I publish it, I was going to get sued. And I'm like, you haven't even read the book yet. Like, how you gonna sue me for something that I haven't even published or you haven't even read? And honestly, I really wish that she would take the opportunity to read it, because the book is not necessarily bashing her, but it's more so just me venting and expressing to her the things that I've endured and why I understand her actions. Because at the end of the day, she only could have done what she knew. And I can't fault her, because I've watched how my grandmother treated her. And to know how my grandmother treated her, in a way, I kind of feel sorry for her, you know? But at the same time, I have feelings too. If I can't express it to you, then that is my only outlet. I did write a book. It's complete and ready to be published.
What's the name of the book?
The name of my book is called, let me pull it up. It's a beautiful book too. The cover is nice and everything. It's called In Her Eyes.
Okay, I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to read it. And listen, as the only parent on this interview, right? I'm gonna tell you, it's very hard to be a parent, especially when you weren't given the tools that you needed when you were younger. It's very, very hard, and it's very hard to hear your child tell you that they didn't get what they needed from you. I've heard it from my children, and it's 1000% true. And it was very, very hard to hear. And just like you said, you got engaged, and now your parents got divorced, and your uncle got divorced. But I just want you guys to understand, it's not about you guys. And a lot of things, we grew up in the age where you didn't, like, kids should be seen and not heard, right? You don't share anything with your children. So I'm sure to you, it came out of nowhere, out of left field. Like, what? Like, is this really happening? But you have no idea. I'm gonna speak from my case. My children didn't know anything. They didn't know how I was feeling. They didn't know how their mom was feeling. They didn't know, because we never showed them that. So when it went down, it almost feels like this bomb got dropped, and there was no warning. But at the same time, it didn't just happen. It had been years and years and years of things that had added up to where it just wasn't sustainable anymore. So I understand those feelings. Only thing I ask is that you give your mom some grace, and I'm sure you do, right? You're in counseling, you understand. Just understand, she gave you everything she had. Obviously, I know your mom,
Yeah.
right? And I know for 100% fact that she gave you everything she had. Some of us we can't give our children everything, and I'm speaking from a parent, and you guys will be parents one day as well. We can't give you everything, because a lot of times we don't even have it to give.
That's true.
We don't even have it. So how can I give you something that I don't even have myself? So as a parent, I know I didn't give my children things that they needed, because I didn't have it, and nobody gave it to me. I parented out of survival. I just knew what I wanted from my parents that I didn't get. So my solution to that was to give them everything that I didn't get. Did I give them too much at times? Yeah, I probably did, out of guilt, or out of, hey, I didn't want them to feel the way I felt when this happened.
Yeah.
So understand, as a parent, man, we just do the best we can. We just do the best we can. Don't be too critical, because only when you become a parent, you will 100% understand. Am I saying that I didn't make mistakes? Am I saying that your mom probably didn't make some mistakes? No, because we all do. You make mistakes every day. Of course, as parents, we're going to make them. We just ask that you give us some grace. Give us some grace and try to understand. And it sounds like you're doing that. You actually look at the relationship that your mom had with her parents, and maybe you kind of understand maybe why some things are the way they are.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do. And that's all you can do. Eventually, we'll come to a place where we can accept it and we can have that conversation. But until then, just understand that we're giving you everything we have.
Yeah.
And that may not be everything you need.
Yeah. So we were just talking about, right? In your opinion, do you feel that the key factors, what do you think is like the key factors to have a marriage, make a marriage successful or enduring?
Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. But one of the biggest things that I will say, and my son and I had a podcast where we talked about this earlier. Probably the question was, what is the one thing I wish I could have taught you before you started dating? I think the biggest issue that we have, men, women, is that we look for a partner that's going to complete us. That already is set up for failure. You have to come into a relationship knowing who you are, understanding you have to be a whole person. You can't look for someone else to complete you. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
for sure.
Because we're people, we're fallible, we're imperfect beings. First of all, we don't even know what other person needs. Even if you told me, I probably couldn't do it.
Yeah. And I'm
So you have to go.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You have to go into a relationship knowing who you are and knowing what your limitations are, and understand that other person can't give that to you. You have to give it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So in going into a new relationship, I need to understand, especially after having a failed marriage, having failed relationships, I need to understand that, hey, these are my limitations. This is what I need to work on about me. And I can't expect anybody else to give me that.
Mm.
They can add to what I already have, but there's no way they can make me a complete person. I have to make myself a complete person. That's not their responsibility. And I think that's where a lot of relationships go wrong. And even friendships, right?
Yeah.
We expect our friends to fill in the gaps for us. No, that's not their responsibility.
Yeah.
Their responsibility is just to be your friend, be your mate, be whatever. They cannot complete you. Only you can complete yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% because even within the relationship that I'm in, I noticed that a lot of times I would tell him like, you're not making me happy and you're not making me feel happy and things like that. And then I had to go into therapy. That is when I realized like, I'm over here asking this man to make me happy, but he don't even know how to make himself happy. So how I'm asking somebody to make me happy that don't even know how to make themselves happy. So then I had to go into the self-growth journey of understanding like, okay, well, what makes Silva happy? Yeah, Silva enjoys dancing and all that other stuff, but what if there was no dance? What would make Silva happy? And I had to go through that process of getting dressed every morning and putting on makeup and making sure my hair is done and make sure just feeling good. And I've learned in that process, me just feeling good makes myself happy. Me going out by myself and going to brunch, spending time with myself makes me happy. I don't always need to have people around me to make myself happy. Yeah.
I agree.
Go ahead, son.
No, I was just gonna say that I agree too, because I've been doing a lot of stuff by myself lately too. And I mean, I didn't think I would ever enjoy it before, but you know, now that I moved here and I'm new here, you know, I've been doing a lot of little stuff by myself that again I normally wouldn't do by myself. And again, it's definitely a good feeling because again, it's that getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, we older now, so we can't do this, or we can't move like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like little stuff you wouldn't even really think about on the out by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or something you wouldn't even talk to nobody about because that's like an inside thing you only really talk to yourself
Yeah.
about. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's little stuff like that. I definitely am starting to enjoy for sure. And just having like working out, like I just really started really getting consistent with that. And like before, again, I would start working out, but it wasn't for my reasons. You know what I'm saying? It would be for other reasons or for other people. You know what I'm saying? But once I got in there and started getting it myself, it was like, okay, like you said, this is something that makes me happy. Like I enjoy this. I enjoy seeing the progress. You know what I'm saying? It's what I'm starting to enjoy, and I'm doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's the best thing about it. So yeah, I definitely 100% agree with you with that for sure.
And let me tell you something for those of you that don't know. If you do something because it's making somebody else happy, like son, you just said you enjoy working out. If you start going to the gym because somebody you with says, hey, I like people to go to the gym, but you hate going to the gym, going to the gym is going to make you miserable.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it was. And I just wanted to be bigger. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I would always get the little comments, oh, you little. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't going because I wanted to go. I wanted to go to prove people wrong type thing, and it never worked out for me like that. But like now, I enjoy it because I'm doing it. Like I said, doing it for me. You know what I'm saying? I want the benefits of working out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely get that.
And I just used working out because that's what we talked about. But it could be anything.
Oh yeah.
If you act a certain way in a relationship because that's what the other person requires. If you say less because the person you with says you talk too much. If you have to change who you fundamentally are in order to fit in this box of somebody of a relationship with somebody else who wants you to be in, then that's not real. That's a facade, and it's never gonna work.
Yeah. Like I said, that's my biggest thing, and like my pet peeve. I tell to myself, people can't pretend forever. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, they're gonna get tired of playing this role or not being able to do or be themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, people can't pretend forever. Eventually, true colors is gonna come out for sure.
Now that you're on this journey of healing, if you could go back and tell your younger self one thing, you could only say one thing, where would that be? Right? What age would that be? And what would you tell yourself?
Okay, as a kid, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was on my Kanye West, okay? You couldn't tell me nothing as a kid. When I got to my sophomore year in college, I don't care. People be like, you're an adult when you're in college. I don't care. I was still a child. My mind was not fully developed to be an adult yet. But my sophomore year in college, I will go back to that age, however old I was, because I don't remember. I will go back and you remember that song? They'd be like, no, 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 no. I don't know the words, but you know the words.
Yeah. Strictly for my ninjas.
Yeah. I would tell myself that. I found myself at that age dimming my light for other people, and I wish I never did that. I think the moment that I started doing that is the moment where I started losing myself. And that's when I started being unhappy. And I'll find myself happy some days and then I end up being mad the next. Like, I would tell myself, don't listen to other people. Be you. And I know you said one word, but I'm a bright person. Don't one word fit in me.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But you know why I'm smiling? I'm smiling because I'm just proud of you guys. And I'm going to tell you why I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of you guys because you guys are light years. You know, and my son and I have had conversations on here, and he said things to me, and I just smiled because you guys are light years ahead of where I was at your age. Light years. Just the way you guys handle things now, the way you guys think, and none of us are perfect, right? We all need to do work on ourselves. Self-improvement is a continuous journey. It never ends. But just where you guys are now compared to where I was at your age, I'm just so happy for you guys. I'm happy that you guys handle things the way you handle them. Do we as adults, parents, like the direction our children take all the time? Absolutely not. But if we're honest with ourselves, you guys handle things in certain instances better than we handle them at your same ages right now. So I'm encouraged. As much as I beat up on your generation, I have to give it credit where credit is due. You guys definitely have evolved past the point where we were at your age. Some of you definitely have not, right? So let's be honest. But as a whole, I believe you guys handle things way better than we handle them in certain instances, right? The ones of you that want to do better, the ones of you that are trying to do the work, I'm definitely encouraged.
I agree. So I have a question. This is probably gonna be a nice question. In your words, what do you wish the men of our generation knew
Great question.
today about women?
I wish y'all knew that everything you see on social media is not facts. And I say
That
this
is a good one.
because what's that man named? Kevin Samuels. He had a lot of our generation of men wrapped into him and the things that he was saying. And he had started this stupid idea of thinking of Black women and having our culture of men think of us in the same light that he sees us in. And if you look on social media, there is a plethora of posts that talks about how Black women are unhappy, how Black women are this, and how Black women are that. And then it goes into saying he started this, Black women keep saying they want a high value man. And then, yeah, that is true, but high value doesn't necessarily mean you got to have a lot of money. And that's what our generation thinks of when we say we want high value men. You don't have to have a lot of money. We want you to be high value in your spirit. We want you to be high value in your thinking. We want you to be high value in your ambitions and aspirations and the things that you want out of life. That is what we mean by when we say we want a high value man. Because if you think different and you have different aspirations of growth, the money will automatically attract to you. You know, I really wish that the men of our generation would stop comparing us to the stuff that they see on social media. Because we nothing like that.
Yeah.
I can't speak for all women, but I know me and my surrounding group of friends, we not like that. We could get our own. We could get our own money. We can do for us, but everybody dreams of having a significant other, especially as a woman. You want to have kids. You want to get married. You want these things out of life. And I think that gets lost in social media and it gets lost with our men. And then you got the stuff that's on social media. You got half naked women on there. You got all this other stuff. So it's constantly a distraction for our generation, especially men, to even focus on being in a relationship.
I 100% agree with everything you said. We had an episode we talked about manhood. And I said a couple of things that maybe weren't very popular, but I meant them 100%. I said, unless I'm a millionaire, I'm not buying a woman a Birkin. That's not happening. And I'm not working 23 hours a day while a woman sits at home and gets her hair done and her nails done and just chill because that's the expectation. I'm not doing that. A relationship, a marriage, or whatever you want to call it, whatever you guys are in, it's a partnership. And both of you should be bringing stuff to the table. Both of you should want to make that relationship successful. But because this picture is being painted, because it's popular, the picture being painted of, oh, I'm fine, so I ain't got to do nothing. When a guy meet me, he got to fly me here, fly me there. And I'm not knocking that, right? Do what you do, but be realistic. Be realistic. Because if you get with a man because of everything he could buy you, do for you, this, that, and the third, but you're not doing nothing to get your own hustle on, then when that man leave, now you got to find another man to do the same thing. And he's going to take you places that you can't afford to be. So when he leave, what are you going to do then? And I have daughters, right? So I'm very sympathetic to like how women are perceived and the images that go out about women. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example. So we had a YouTube page for this podcast. I didn't curse one time. I didn't call anybody out their name. We weren't talking about anything crazy, but the page got removed because I violated community guidelines. What are you talking about? But if I was talking about women in a derogatory manner, if I was talking about sex, if I was talking about how women ain't nothing, then my page probably would have been okay. So my goal with this podcast is twofold. One, just a conversation between a father and son, talk about difference in generations, and then obviously we have a unique story. But I want people to get something out of this. Like this conversation I just had with you about healing and what started you on your journey and things like that. That's what I want to highlight. That's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. That's kind of stuff that I want people your age to understand, and in my age to understand, because things have changed. The landscape has shifted. The way we used to think no longer works in a lot of instances, right?
Mhm.
No longer can we tell our children that they could be seen and not heard. No, we have to listen. Because guess what? If we don't listen, somebody else is listening, somebody else is giving advice. And what are they telling your kid?
That's
Or what are they telling your young adult?
deep.
And listen, I am not Father of the Year. I haven't made every right decision for my children. None of that, right? So I'm not coming from a place where I'm up here and everybody need to listen to what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I've made the mistakes, plenty of them, and I continue to make them. But the thing is, the best apology is change behavior. So the best way I could apologize to my son, apologize to my daughters, apologize to anybody I ever wronged was change my behavior. And that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I'm
100%.
changing my behavior too.
That's what I'm talking about. Change behavior.
I don't be ready to black blicky bicky black people no more.
I can see the change. I see the change.
I do too. I do too.
You put it that way.
Cilva, give us your social media handles and tell us what you got going on, just so our listeners could be able to tap in with you. We don't have a lot of them, right? We're still building here, but let our listeners know where they could find you, where they could find your Cilva's Lining journey. Just give us all your social media handles.
So my Cilva Lining page and brand, that handle is the Cilva, like my name, Cilva Lining, but like silver lining, but with my name. My actual Instagram page is It's Silver, like Silver Lining, T at the end. And that's the same thing all the way across on YouTube and as well on my TikTok.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I do like that name though.
Yeah, I do too. It's definitely it catches your ear, right?
No, for sure.
This podcast is my son's hobby, but his real thing, he's a gamer. Go ahead and drop your gamer tag, son.
Oh yeah, Aoye 2 E's or AYEEYOO_YAY. You know what I'm saying? Go check me out over there. Go crazy.
And Talks with Pops podcast on all social media platforms, on Instagram. Well, our YouTube page got taken down, so we're working on that. But Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Talks with Pops podcast. The audio version is available anywhere you get your podcast from. So definitely go check us out, subscribe, follow, share. We're trying to build a community here. Once again, the first lady of the Talks with Pops podcast, Cilva. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I love you. I'm always rooting for you. And I see nothing but success. I definitely want to have you back. I 100% want to have you back because it's a lot of topics that we discuss where we need a female voice. And I definitely would love for you to come back and grace us with your presence.
Let's do it.
And just give us your perspective. Son, as always, at the end of every podcast, I love you, son. You my dog. We're going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. And it's just me and you. It's me and you. I love you.
Oh, yeah, Pops. Always, man. I love you, too. Always, forever. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like you said, we're gonna rock this thing out. We're going to rock it out. All right. It's been going crazy, though.
Yeah.
It's going crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I've been enjoying it, for sure.
Hey, like I said, just subscribe, share. We're trying to build something here. I hope you guys will come along with us for the ride. Talks with Pop podcast in the books. Thank you, Cilva. I love you
too. Love both of you guys.
Love you.